Well, welcome. I am Jenny Wallach here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I'm so excited that you are spending your very valuable and important time with me here today on this really important topic, which at least I think it's important. It's all about aligning your dreams with your dollars, right? We have to work on funding this bucket list, these dream goals that we have through our aligned business, meaning that we are doing the things that actually give us joy and that we know why we're doing this business that sometimes can be challenging, oftentimes rewarding, but it can also be a grind. And so that grind is worth it if we are in alignment with who we choose to be and what we want to do. So let's get this party started. I am just going to roll right in because this is important stuff that I want to make sure we have plenty of time to dive into. The truth is that we just have to stop dreaming and we've got to start doing. And so the reason this popped up for me was because, and I'll just go back to the front screen here. That's me in front of the Trevi Fountain. If you have traveled, you know that this is for many a bucket list item. And it was just a few years ago that I went with friends and my family on this amazing 3-week journey. We went to London and Paris, Barcelona, and then a 7-day Mediterranean cruise. And OMG, it was awesome. And we got to knock so many items off our bucket list, as you can imagine. And so then I got back with the family and I'm like, okay, guys, we got to fill this bucket back up. Now that we've knocked off so many things all in one swoop, which was a great way to do it because now we know where we want to go back and visit again and then other places to explore. I knew that we had to have a plan in place to refill that bucket list, if you will. So that is why I created this class was so that it was for me and a selfish reason, so that I could remind myself that it is important to keep dreaming so that we'll have the motivation to keep doing. Now, it's sometimes this little push-pull story, right? And if you have hung out with me, you know that I coached with Jordan Freed for many, many years. And he had said this to me one time, so much so that it hurt. And I thought I would share it with you. So the push-pull idea is just this. And kind of imagine with me and play along, if you will, is have you ever pushed on a door that was supposed to be pulled? In fact, I just did it this last week in New York City. Well, what happened? Nothing. The door did not open. In fact, I just kept standing there. And if I kept continuing to push, well, then what would happen then? Nothing. Nothing would happen. But is it that we don't know how to open a door? Well, no. You know how to open a door. But here's the problem that so many of us have, and we may not even know that we have it. You don't even, the thing is that you don't have a gravitational pull. And it's a pull that matters so much to you that you wake up every day with total focus on your vision because you are so clear on what it's going to give you and who it is going to impact. And so there you are at the door, you're stuck and you're pathologically pushing. And you're standing at the goal of your dreams. You are doing all you can and it just won't move. And so many of us have a relationship with our goals that is pathologically pushing, but it's okay because today is about a gravitational pull. Goals that are going to pull you toward your dreams. So it's the push pull. And when you're feeling stuck, this is just your reminder to go back to those dreams because they will help pull you through to achieve those goals. Well, as we hop into this class today, you've got your workbook and you have lots of space to take notes, to jot down your ideas. And we can just turn right on over to page 2 and just think about why a bucket list even matters. Well, the truth is that your bucket list is a number of experiences or achievements that you hope to accomplish during your lifetime. And building a bucket list now puts those dreams into the universe, and then you get to make them true. And so today we are going to take some time to think about why it matters and what creating a big one will do for you and those that you love. So you have room, and this will be your reflection time to time block a session with yourself, a date to come back and think through why does a bucket list even matter and who really will be impacted by the one that we create. But first, I love reflecting. So, this is the time of year for wrapping up that we can take a moment because if you've read the book, The Gap and the Gain, I come back to this often, is sometimes we can live in the gap. We set a goal, we didn't quite achieve it, and we can dwell on that gap, that difference. But the gain is what this is about. The reflection of what you've already accomplished is the gain. We need to remember how far we actually have come because even an inch forward is a positive step forward. And sometimes we forget that. So you have this opportunity here. And how I like to reflect and in today's class, let's just make it over this last year, 2025. I don't know how it worked out for you. I can't believe that it's already flown by, but here we are in December. Another year has gone by. And so I am a woman of a mature age that can't really remember all the things that I do. And so the best, easiest hack for me to reflect on your year is just go through your phone. Scroll back through the year in your life in pictures. It's going to help you remember where you were, what you did, what you were learning. And so that's what you get to invest some time in with yourself as you think about the things that you've already achieved. And let's just do it just for this year. That can really make you feel good about it. So reflect and list what you've already accomplished and why it matters. And so you'll get this is you time. This is you time. We don't have a full day to let you have these reflection moments, but think about if you just wrote down where have you traveled to this year? What did you see? What did you do? And so when you jot down these memories, hopefully it will spark some positive feelings and motivation inside of you. And so write down, where did I travel to? What experiences did I have? And what growth? How did I grow this year? Whether it's just learning something new or trying something different for yourself. And then even just taking the time to think about why those things matter. I mean, gosh, just traveling and vacations, why does that matter to you? And who else does it matter to you that you care about? Because here's the thing, time waits for no one, not even you. And we know that this is, we've got this one shot, this one precious opportunity on earth to live it, to do it, to connect with people. We have to take ownership of this precious life that we get, not just for ourselves, but for those who care about us and those that we care about as well. So please take this seriously in your quiet time over these next weeks to reflect on the gains and then the dreams. Because when you take some time to write down a bucket list, You will, and this is from studies have found that you're 42% more likely to achieve them just by writing it down. Because we know life is short and precious. So if we can build this bucket list, put our thoughts and our dreams into writing and into the universe, they tend to come true. Obviously, 42% chance better than if you don't write them down. So you will have this fun little bucket list one pager here. So when you write it down, like I said, you're going to have more likely chance of actually accomplishing it. So make a list. Now, this doesn't have to be this year's list, 2026. This is just where do I want to travel to in my lifetime? A bucket list is a lifetime goal. And so when you are thinking about travel and helping others and financial well-being and new experiences and your health and your fitness and your education and learning, even just jotting a couple different things down inside of there will really stimulate some excitement inside of you that will pay off later as we continue on our time today. So these are just the different categories that I came up with. Maybe you have other ideas or other buckets. I was just trying to pull things that were, things that you could see, things that you could grow, things that you could try, and ways that you can take care of yourself physically. Because in order to live this one precious life, we do need to be healthy enough to stick around again so that we can live this best life. So here's what we're going to do in the year of 2026 coming up. What if you had your just bucket list, which is this one pager where you have all these different categories, but what if we just got really clear about, okay, out of all of those things. I'm just going to list, we've got 2, 4, 6 spaces here on the workbook. You can see here. What if we just make a bucket list for 2026? This is just what I want to accomplish. So this can be, already that you've got some travels coming up, or you'd like a 3-day holiday, once a quarter, and you want to make that happen. Maybe you want to learn or grow in a certain way. And so write down what those could be in 2026, and then when you're going to do that. When are you going to accomplish that? Because the thing is that, again, we got to write it down. And now we took this whole page of all these different ideas, but let's whittle it down to something that's more bite-sized and manageable with just 6 things. It doesn't have to be six, but that was how many blanks are on the page. And so if you did that, then that will help you then build out your plan for this next year. I know you've probably already worked on your business plan. You probably already know all the things you're going to do, but hopefully you can insert some things that you learned today into that plan because it will be associated with living your dreams. So these are just some questions that I like to reflect on. I feel that questions are the best place for us to start, whether it's with ourselves or with other places, other people. And so, how will you feel about accomplishing the items on this list? I bet you would feel good. I bet that you would feel proud. And so take some time to really, really write down, not just think about it, write it down. So who will you share these experiences with? Who will be with you when you're on your travels or having those new journeys in life? And what will I do to make sure that these come true? Right? Again, it's great to dream, but we have to make sure that we are following up on them so that they actually happen. Okay, so bring your vision to life so that you can actually see your dreams. Now, I don't know if you're like me, I like a vision board. I have been a vision board dork for many years. I often have them up in my office here, and I've got one here below me. But just plotting down a physical reminder that you've cut out the pages or you've copied the pictures from online and you put them either into an electronic document that you print out or one that you get the glue sticks out for and some Sharpies and some stickers, whatever your vision board looks like, that's great. As long as you see it, because it is oh so fun to come back and to say, wow, I did that one. I did that one. I did that one. So a vision board acts as a powerful visualization tool by externalizing these mental images into physical form. By regularly looking at it, that allows us to reinforce the neural connections associated with our goals, making them more salient in our consciousness. So this is what is, I believe, important in connecting the dots between the thought of this item you'd like to acquire this year, or a place you'd like to go, or a way that you want to feel, or a physical accomplishment you'd like to achieve, and putting it on paper. And the fun thing about a vision board is often it's shared with others, and that also gives you some accountability around it. So let's make it happen and get to work. So if you did download the bucket list planner, which is really just everything we've covered already, so you don't need it separately, but you can see that I had this little space for now. This is where you'd put your vision board if you wanted to, or you could stick some stuff on, or I should just pull one of mine out from underneath here so you could see it. But or you are gonna, put your magazine cutouts and words onto a cardboard piece of paper, whatever it looks like for you, it's your vision. And it's tying together this future bucket list, maybe the most, a handful of the bucket list items into a this year vision as well. Okay, so build your business buckets to fund your bucket list. This is how we're now going to take what we've been thinking about the dreams, the goals, the bucket list items, and putting them into your business plan. So, as Ferris says, life moves pretty fast. And if you don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it. Ferris Bueller's Day Off, one of our family's favorites movies. So, of course, I have to quote Ferris because this goes back to time waits for no one. If you don't stop and enjoy it along the way, you could totally get to the end and say, dang, I wish I did. I'd rather say, I'm so glad that I did. So, life is too short, and we know what if and when we know why and what we are doing this business for, we're talking about business now, then we get really clear on these buckets of business, and our daily conversations will be fun and rewarding. So, when we get the right message with the right people at the right time, our business will grow, and that funds our bucket list. Okay, now we're going to continue in this pre-work part. So far was the pre-work. We've thought about our vision of what we'd like to do someday, and now let's start switching gears into our business life. Okay, so your life matters. It matters, and we don't want to waste it. So there's this thing called the big why, and I know many of you have heard the big why. It's just and sometimes it can be overwhelming and daunting to envision, like, why am I put on this earth? And I like to just think of, why do I do this business? What gives me joy in this business? What does this having success in this business provide me? And so just take a little time, and this doesn't have to be a deep thought. This is just something simple of, why do I do this business? What do I get out of it by doing this hard, sometimes challenging job that we have in real estate? And then let's think about your mission. So your mission is if you've been in the classroom with me, which I know so many of you have, I always talk about your mission statement, your personal mission statement. And I know so many of you have even taken the time to put these together for yourself because it does make a difference. And so your mission is just in a brief version is something that you have a passion for plus something that is already a unique gift of yours. It's already a talent, it's a skill that you have. And when you put those together, that helps you realize your purpose, your mission. And so this to me is bigger than a goal. A mission is different than a goal. A goal is are the things that you're going to do along the way to live your mission. And they are related, but they are different. And so this is your time to think about it. What is my mission? What is my purpose? So the thing that really changed my business years ago was that I had this aha moment during a time of breakdown because I didn't have clarity around these things. And that's why I'm passionate about always sharing it, is because then I realized when I connected my big why, my mission of who I am at my core to my business, I was able to show up in my business as myself is in my true, authentic Jenny. And therefore, business flowed to me, was easier. I had more success because I was feeling in alignment. I keep saying the word, but that's the word is I was doing the business and I knew why I was doing the business. So when it got tough, I could keep going. When it was a struggle bus, I could fight on through it or make adjustments based on my mission, my purpose, my reason for being here on earth. So, in this one pager that we're still working through, this is just kind of your pre-work to then know what we're going to set up next. And so, if you think about, you probably have already calculated how much money you need to make this year. Now, I love the lid exercise. It's a very simple mathematical equation. You need to add up, it's the math. We got to add up all the money that it takes to live your lifestyle. This is the best way to solve this. I did this with my husband. We just went through our bank accounts. We have separate bank accounts. And how much do we spend each month? That's your lifestyle. Because for us, we're already living our lifestyle. We enjoy eating out or traveling or whatever. That's how much it costs to live our life. And so that is the number. It can be a rough guess, but just get a number. And then your investments are what does it take to either are you funding a 401k, an IRA? Are you purchasing investment properties so that you have investments? And then you get to have some debts because there are things that you can't get out of paying, like the government, your mortgage, if you have one, any other debts that you have a payment, those need to be tallied in. And so when you add them all together, that's how much you have to make. Now, yes, some of you may have a partner or you share expenses on things and you can figure out the math for yourself. I would like to be able just to run the numbers that I could afford my life and that my business would cover those costs. So that's what you're going to think about in setting your goals as well. And let's go back to this bucket list. Remember, you had that those top six items. So, how much do those things cost? Do you have some travels coming up this year? That needs to go into your expenses of money you need to make. Aren't we in the real estate business that whenever we see something that costs a certain amount of money, we think, oh, I just need to sell one more house or two more houses? Well, that's fine, but they need to be factored in to how much you need to earn this year through your business. And then at the bottom here, we have the number of families served. I don't know about you, but when I changed it to families served rather than units, transactions, that really made a change for me because now it's more relationship than transactional. So think of your business as the number of families you get to serve, the households that you get to serve. And that will really help you be right in alignment with your business as well. So you can do the math. There's this thing called the economic model. There's a spreadsheet. I'm happy to share it with you. If you don't have a copy of it, just let me know. But when you math it out, it tells you how much, how many families that you need to help in order. Okay, I got muted for a second. You guys can hear me? Okay, cool. All right, I'm going to keep going. So then we've got how many families that you need to help in order to achieve those goals there. And then this is the one that I think a lot of us fool ourselves on. Let's get honest here. You're not working 365 days next year. You're just not. And please don't. I don't want you to, right? Because we know that we have to have time off to reset and reflect. It is just so, so important that we do. So get honest with yourself of how many actual days that you are going to work. Because if you did the math on it of the number of families served and the days worked, you can have more clarity around what your work life balance should look like. Because we have to, and I will never, ever stop preaching this message. We have to block off family time, vacation time, training, and events that we know that we'd like to attend. We have to really be real. If you just took, I already am very excited. I already have my 2026 planner. I've already started filling it out and blocking things off so that I am very clear about the number of days I truly will work this year. And this is important because guess what? Sometimes we get to the end of the year and we go, dang, I ran out of time. I didn't have enough time to do what I said I wanted to do, and we don't want that to happen. So these are the four M's. So work with me here, play along, and I think you'll see that they add up to make something really cool and something very manageable. And so the M's that we're going to talk about now, so we're taking our bucket list over here, but now we're going to build our business buckets. So our business buckets are going to be filled up with the first M is market. So who am I talking to? Who's the lead source? And I'll define all of these in a minute. And then the message is what's happening. What do they need to know? The method is how is this message being delivered? And the fourth M is the metric. How am I going to measure the results? Because all of these are great, but if we aren't having a result, then again, what was the point? And so we're going to dive into these. So here's my fun little bucket graphic that I made up and created. Canva is an amazing friend, and Shai always helps me make our presentations beautiful. But let's just first start with the first M, market. Now, where I got this message from is from the book Shift. Hopefully, you've read Shift. And in Shift, the authors talk about two markets, right? There's two markets. There's the market, which is the group that you're speaking to, who is the market that I'm talking to. And then there's the market as in the real estate market. And you have to be clear on both of those. You need to know who you're talking to so they get the right message. And you need to be knowledgeable in the real estate market because that's your job. And so you need to also be that, local economist of choice and consultant. And so that's where you're going to kind of have your brain today is the market in this case is about the source. So here is how I define this. Now, I originally made this for agents on my team. So play along that you are an agent on a team, but of course, you are the team yourself. You're the whole team if you're the solo agent. So you'll kind of get it as I work through it. Well, first of all, the first bucket that we know about and we should all have is our sphere of influence. SOI. I call it sphere of influence. And these are people that you brought with you to the team or just to the business. Like if you're a solo agent and you started this business today, you're going to be told and understand that you need to build your database. And so these are the people you're starting with. And we call those your sphere of influence. And these are met. So I'm going to talk about mets and unmets. So a met, by definition, and this is my definition, is that people that you already know. They're your friends, family, high school friends, colleagues from a previous job. These are people that you have a two-way relationship with. They know who you are and you know who they are. These are your Mets. These are the people that are going to be your cheerleaders and your raving fans, and they will support you. Got it? Now, the second part of your bucket, I just abbreviated everything. This is past clients. So these are people that have already worked with you. So you know that now of course, they're still in your sphere, but they have a little subcategory because now they've shown and proven that they trust you with their business themselves. So, of course, they are a Met as well because they've already allowed you to help them buy or sell a home. And then you're going to have leads. So leads are leads, referrals that have come in to you in some way. If you're on a team, they can be provided to you by your team, but leads are unmet. They come in. I've got in parentheses there because they are an inbound lead, meaning that they came from a sign call. They called you on the phone. They found you online somehow. They clicked on your website. They chat GPT you and found you online there because that's happening these days. Any form of a lead that comes in that you don't know them yet, you don't know them yet. And then the extra bucket or part of our bucket are business or things that we're creating ourselves that are extra effort. Extra effort is the word here. So this means that you have done an outbound job. You've called people, you've asked for referrals, you've done an open house. These are people that you have generated through your extra efforts. So I hope that market bucket makes sense so that you can think through your own business right now. You've got your sphere, your past clients, your leads, and your extra efforts. And those are going to come up here as I dive a little deeper. Now, to me, this is where you could personalize this a little bit. You could add in what your touches are. But I just had to put this in writing, like from even for my own team, is so that we're all clear on things that are happening. So we have our database, and these are our core met relationships, right? So some of these spheres haven't yet worked with us, but they definitely know us. And so, what kind of plan do you have in place? If you look over to the left, you could see, well, I have a quarterly touch, meaning I communicate with them with a two-way call or a text, all TCPA compliant. Let's document that. Every phone method is a TCPA compliant touch. Maybe you have their birthday and you send them a card or give them a call or shoot them a text or an email. Any life event that pops up. Maybe you know their wedding anniversary or some other life event happens and you send a card in the mail to care for them and to give your condolences. The sphere also could have more one-to-one relationships. Like if you've been paying attention, I attempted 100 coffee dates this year. I didn't get to 100, but I did way more than I would have if I wouldn't have challenged myself with this. So those one-to-one relationships are super important as well. And then maybe you have a pop-by plan. So we've done this on and off, and we're upping our VIP plan this coming up year. So keep an eye out. I'll share everything that we're going to do. But maybe you know your top 25, your top people that are your raving fans, cheerleaders, they share business with you, they share your posts, they're always rooting for you. Maybe this is when you have a quarterly pop by. This is dropping off something of value or something for fun. Of course, your sphere is going to get invited to your client events, especially in-person stuff. You're going to connect with them on social media. These are just all the things that I can think of, right? You have a monthly newsletter. Maybe you put them on a market report if you have Command or whatever CRM you use, or a tool that updates them on the value of their home. That's valuable for many people. So those are just touches. So you've got this document. You can mark off what you already do. You can put a check by it, or maybe you could add in a few new things this year to touch those people that are your core advocates. Now, your past clients, again, they already have worked with you. So of course they're going to get all the same stuff that your sphere is because they are a part of your sphere. But now we have a few additional things. Like we know they have a home anniversary. So that could be an additional call or touch or email or market report. And that's where you can just dive in a little bit deeper for those who have actually done business with you. And then we've got our leads. Remember, these are unmets. So what touches do you have for these unmet people? Well, I mean, to me, they still go in to your database. They're still going to get emails because I don't like spending money on people that aren't yet a met because these are still unmet. So they're going to just mainly get email communication, communication, social media. They're not going to get any money spent on them yet. But what do you have in place for your leads that come in? We have they're going to get, do the database two kind of method, which is a quarterly touch in some fashion. They're going to have a message that's appropriate for them because we don't yet know them. Maybe you have just a follow-up plan that's automatic inside of your CRM just to stay in touch with people, even if you haven't yet heard back from them. We have a VA, we have VAs on our team, virtual assistants, and so they help us out sometimes in getting in additional text. Again, we haven't connected with them yet. Maybe they haven't responded to us yet. And so sometimes you can leverage some of these additional touches if you need to. And then, of course, they get our newsletter. Okay, I'm getting out of breath, but the extra bucket section here would be this is your effort. So these are the ways you get to add opportunity. Are you into open houses? Are you rocking that plan? Do you door knock? Do you have a process in place for that? Or are you more of a networking person where you're joining a volunteer organization where it's more face to face? And those can be the buckets of your new opportunities. So they're going to have a lot of the same touches as the leads because still they're unmet until you get that two-way conversation going and then they become a met. So they would get kind of upgraded in your system once you set an appointment, face-to-face communication would eventually change. So keep rolling with me here on this. So now we've got our next slide that is all about taking those together. So nothing really changed here from the last slide. You can see these are all still the same touches that I had previously, but now I've just added our 4 M's because this is when it's going to get fun. Remember, we want to know the market, who are we talking to, the message, what are we saying to them, the method is the mode of delivery, and the metric is how I'm measuring the result. Got it? Okay. And so if we take these 4 M's and we map it out monthly to maximize these buckets of business. But plus, I'm going to add in some fun. I'm going to add in some magic words from Phil that will help you to enhance and encourage conversation. And we're going to add in maybe a little bit of social media that can plus what we're doing anyway, but then we're sharing it online. So, next step. Let's think through your list of messages. So, we already know the market. We talked about all the different categories of people. So, let's just dive into the messages. What could your messages sound like? So, this is going to all come together, I promise. The message is something that you want to deliver to the people. Whatever you're going to define, the market you're speaking to, the message is this, something that you want to share with them. So these are some questions. I just made these up. You make up your own questions if you need to. But what is happening in the market, real estate market, that that group of people should know about? What events are coming up that you would like to invite them to? What's happening in the community that I can share? What holiday or season, what season is it in the year, et cetera, et cetera. Because when you think through what you have coming up or what's happening in the market or things like that, then you can, as Phil says, stop counting the conversations and start making conversations count. Because we then want to take the magic words and have here's all of them right here. If you haven't read the book, exactly what to say. Got a few of them over here. Well, you guys know I've got them all over the place. So, exactly what to say is Phil's little book that has this powerful impact of conversations. It's all about it's he teases that his book should have been called Exactly What to Ask, but it's not because that was already taken. So this is just a line out of all of the magical phrases that you could use. And I'm getting to a point here in a second. I'm just rolling it all out real quick. And then there is a list of methods. So the methods, you again get to pick and determine your best mode of method. The method is how I'm going to deliver this message. Sometimes it's more than one way. Of course, the phone calls and text messages are TCPA compliant. These are just things I thought of. I can email, I can door knock, I could post on social media, I can send social media messages. I have video, I can do video on Instagram, send it by text, I can handwrite a note, I can send a letter in the mail. I can send a postcard in the mail. All of these are just a combination of different ways to prospect and market. These are different methods of delivery. You get to pick what are your favorites, of course, and then some metrics because we have to know how to measure the results. And so, again, I make stuff up and you're welcome. You are welcome to then adjust if you need to. But for our team, I wanted us to be able to define if we were successful or not. So maybe your metric for the week is that I'm going to talk to these people and I'm going to deliver this message through this method of delivery. And I know that I succeeded when I achieved this metric. Example, maybe you have a goal of I'm going to talk to 5 people a day, real two-way conversations. Maybe you have a goal that I'm going to set an appointment a week. Whatever you want to define as your metric for that week, you get to pick. I love networking events attended or new people added to my database or a coffee date or lunch date that's set and maybe one that is attended. All of these are up to you because we want to then put them together. So this is really what my team does is we have a brain dump at the beginning of each month. So this one pager is going to come your way. It's blank. And we just think about what do we have coming up this month? What's on the calendar already? What time of year is it? Is there a holiday that we want to acknowledge? Things like that. So what's important for us to share? And that's where we have this one pager that at the top is just the brain dump. So I'm going to just think about it. Like I'd look at the calendar, I go, well, it's going to be the new year. That's fun. New year. And we also are going to be launching at the end of January, we'll launch a client event or whatever. You're just going to brain dump everything that's going on or what's important to share. And then you're going to have a place for you to think out and plan ahead of the goals and commitments that you'd like to make. So, for example, the week of, and you put the date, the market, the message, the magic words I'm going to use, the method of delivery, any social media that I want to enhance with this, and the metric. So I'll just share examples. I think in the workbook, I have examples for you. You have a whole page of examples. I like giving you the examples because the examples help you see how you can really do this. Now, I didn't look at the calendar. I just updated the year. So that may not be a Monday or Sunday. I have no idea what the 6th is. That might be, I don't know, whatever. But you guys get the idea. You're going to put the first week of January that you're working of what you want these four M's to consist of. So, for example, let's say in the new year, we want to reach out to all previous leads and referrals. So, that's the message. I'm sorry, that's the market of people. So, remember how people always say, I'm waiting to buy a new house in the new year? Remember, everybody says that. Well, guess what? It's the new year. And so maybe that's your first week's message is, hey, we talked last year and you mentioned that you're looking to make a move in 2026. And then just out of curiosity, are you still looking to make a move in 2026? And you can use your best friend ChatGPT like I do of folding in a nice little voice message or text message that adds in something, an exactly what to say phrase if you'd like. And then what method of delivery? You want to call, you want a voicemail, you want to text, all three. And then at the same time, while you've created this message, could you shoot a video? Could you create some video content around that same message that goes on your socials? I think so. And then maybe the metric that week is that you're just going to track how many two-way conversations that you want to get in. So maybe you have a goal of 50 two-way conversations in a whole week. So do you get the idea here? And I'll move swiftly through this so we can have a little Q&A at the end. Then the next week, you know what? It's time. We haven't been in touch with our top people, our VIPs. So, you know what? I want to refresh my year by starting with some coffee dates. And then I'm going to use the magic phrase of, it's new year. I'd love to connect. When would be a good time for us to set up a coffee date or a lunch together? And then what if the social media pieces, you get to that coffee location early and you do some video content to tag and promote that local business. Voila, you're like knocking all these things off the list. And so these are just fun examples. I like allowing you to see like how easy it is and you get to build it. It's, create your own adventure through this. But these are just some examples. So just some tips for success with this is time block the last week of the month on your calendar. If you have team meetings or a weekly sit down with yourself, look ahead and say, what's happening next month? And what do we want to make sure that our message, our method, and our mode of delivery, what want to make sure that all is intact. And so it's also great to tally your results because sometimes you're going to be like, well, that was kind of a fail. That didn't work. And so I want to make sure that the whole idea here, right, guys, is that you're building your pipeline and deepening relationships and getting into production as well. And so what could you use again? Are you adding new people to your database? That's important. Are you setting appointments? That's very important. And what kept you focused to help you achieve your goals? So that was a lot really fast on the business bucket section, but it becomes just a practice. It becomes a way for you to tie in what matters most to you, the gravitational pull towards these dreams that will help you, live your best life, but then living your and breathing and doing your business in alignment with you. And it's spread out so that you are reflecting each week, you're measuring the results, but you're finding joy in your own journey. This is your business, and you get to determine what that looks like. And Gary does say, and it's actually in the Red Book, Millionaire Real Estate Agent. I found it years ago and I was like, oh, that's where that came from. Real estate is a contact sport. And so if we think back at all the different buckets that we talked about, all of those are ways to connect with people and deepen our conversations and our relationships. All right. Thanks for hanging out with me. I hope that you're in my Facebook group, Your Journey with Jennie, but I do have a membership group. It is a small, intimate collaboration of like-minded real estate professionals who know there's more to life than just another transaction. It's about being in alignment, like we talked about today, with who we want to be and how we want to live our lives while doing this business on our terms, and that gives us our greatest joy. So if you are interested in joining our Momentum group, we are always accepting new great agents to hang out with us. Thanks for hanging out with me. I am so grateful for you. This year has flown by. A lot has happened for whatever era you are in. I'm in my empty nest era. And so I've got new life and things happening, right? And so we always are just evolving no matter where you are in life. And I'm grateful that you spent your valuable time with me today. Of course, I'm always here. If you need anything, feel free to share it with anyone. This is a free complimentary class, so you can share it with other friends if you need to. I'd love to hear that you took some time to think through your bucket list and then put those smaller items onto, or some of them onto this year's goals, and then keep me posted as you achieve those goals, because I know that you will. So thank you guys so much.